How do you handle your erotic shadow as someone who's trying and striving to really have healthy relationships as a sensitive person? One of the reasons why some of the advice to take things more slowly, be conservative, be careful with how you dress, this advice gets some backlash is because people have their fantasies to do something else. But when you come to a channel like this to transform your relationships, you've probably already been living through your shadow in your past. You've probably acted on your emotions in your previous relationships. Maybe you have slept with someone before on the first date, or not only one time, maybe dozens and dozens of times. Maybe you have picked partners for superficial reasons because they're good looking, or maybe you liked the games and the manipulations that they were playing on you because it was different and it was interesting. Maybe you liked the bad boy or the bad girl because it was sexy. There is a component of romance that is rebellious, that is edgy, and we can get attracted to those archetypes for that reason. And that's why those people out in society who are really good manipulators can sometimes do really well picking up a lot of different people. But if you want to transform your relationships and you're getting tired of people walking out of your life, you got to get your erotic shadow in line a little bit. You got to be a little bit disciplined. Having said that, it's very important to realize that that side of you that wants to rebel, who wants to have sex on the first date, or be naughty, or whatever those things are, it's not wrong. It's just an aspect of your intimacy and an aspect of your personality that may not be working for you very well if you're not happy with your relationships. If you think about it, it's actually pretty easy to get sex in any direction nowadays. There's not only prostitution, there's a lot of pornography on the internet, there are a lot of dating apps where people are available and they're willing and consenting to do things on the first date, okay? So that's where these habits of relationships not working out sort of come from. We actually have a lot of eroticism in society, a lot of scantily clad people on the internet, both male and female, because it grows followings, it grows audiences. And so that desire is like an endless pit. And when we decide that we're going to be a little bit different in our approach to relationships, that we're going to take things slow and get to know people and not be deceived by manipulations and not be attracted by these bad boy, bad girl types, our erotic shadow is going to try to rebel a little bit. That's where people get kind of angry and abusive when they hear conservative advice. That's where it comes from. We all have that shadow. We all have that potential to do those kinds of things, to be a little bit naughty. That's why we shouldn't judge people who are manipulators, who may potentially deceive us, because if you really reflect, at some point in your life, you probably did something manipulative. Even if you are a religious person, you probably deceived somebody in some way. You probably led someone on in your past, didn't really have any intention of becoming intimate with them. We all have that side of ourselves, and that's why it's so important to be able to forgive and also to reflect and ask yourself, why have you been playing the victim? Why are you allowing yourself to be manipulated by people? Are you acting out of some kind of rebellion or some kind of fantasy? Maybe you're really angry with your parents who are really putting pressure on you to get married and have children by a certain age if you're a woman. And you're like, I don't want to do that. I want to be single and live my life and enjoy what I'm doing. Maybe your previous life was that you were a nun or a monk. I know not everybody believes that, but those who do, those kinds of stories can actually be really helpful and really insightful to understand why people are the way that they are. And it's not a good thing to put pressure on people to be in relationships or marriages if they don't want to be in a relationship or a marriage. It's better to let people go live their lives the way that they intended to live their lives. And how do we deal with this dark erotic side of ourselves? Maybe we're lucky enough to be in a relationship, but we want our partner to do something like dress up a certain way, or maybe they ask us to allow a threesome and we find that disrespectful. Well, first of all, I would just like to say, if a partner asks and you say no, that is not a crime and you shouldn't hold it against them. I think it's perfectly valid and perfectly okay for people to ask for these things, even if you really disagree with it, even if you're religious. Just understand that people have their dark fantasies, and if you allow them to at least verbalize it, it doesn't mean you have to act on it if you don't feel that it's the right thing for you. But that allows them some space to show up as their authentic selves, and there's nothing wrong with that. You can allow them to come forward with their dark erotic side, and be aware that no matter how religious or conservative your training may be, that you probably have a dark erotic side as well. It may not even be conscious. You may not even have words to articulate it, but you just might feel a little bit flush around a person who's really young and attractive, even though you're more mature. I mean, it happens. We're all hardwired to reproduce. And when we all have orgasms as men and women, it releases these really powerful antioxidants that help keep us from aging, that help us be happy and healthy in the world. And that can be a really good thing. So people who want to transform their relationships, that are looking for a channel like this, they're typically looking for people to be in a longer term relationship. At least that's what I expect as the creator of this channel, because short-term relationships, if you think about it, hookups, sex, prostitution, it's everywhere. If you really want that, you just go look at the first hit on Google, on the internet. It's pretty easy to find. But having a long-term, meaningful, intimate relationship, that's the real challenge of our age. And all of these options for short-term sex have muddied the waters to make it hard for us to commit, actually, nowadays. And it doesn't mean we have to villainize our dark erotic side. If we villainize it and call it completely wrong, then it's probably going to bubble up. It's probably going to take control of us in our more vulnerable moments. But if we're acknowledging it, that it's there, and we understand what it is, and we're compassionate, it doesn't mean that we act on it blindly or just follow through on our dark erotic desires without any thought. But we do understand that they are there, and we're not suppressing them. That's how we can live in harmony and live in balance with that dark erotic side of our personalities. Understand that it's the side of ourselves that's looking to reproduce and looking to be happy and well in the world. And that's okay. We just are disciplining ourselves to look for the happiest, high quality relationships that are really going to serve us long term, rather than jumping to short term solutions.